Good morning. You're watching Newsx and I'm Asav Region. There'll be some breaking news coming in where the UPA ATS has arrested an ISI spy from Muradabad identified as Shehzad, a resident of Rampur. He had been visiting Pakistan for the past several years. He smuggled cosmetics, clothes, spices and other goods across the border. According to Uttar Pradesh's ITS, Shehzad was in constant touch with Pakistani ISI operatives. Shehzad operated and in fact shared confidential information related to India's security. The UPATS has now arrested him and filed an FIR. My colleague Varsha is with us on the broadcast. Varsha, of course, big news are coming in from Uttar Pradesh. What more can you tell us?
देखिए, अगर शहजाद के बारे में बात की जाए तो यूपी एटीएस ने शहजाद को मुरादाबाद से गिरफ्तार किया है। मुरादाबाद से गिरफ्तारी के बाद जब शहजाद से यूपी एटीएस ने पूछताछ की तो उसने बताया कि वो रामपुर का रहने वाला था। वो बॉर्डर पर तस्करी का काम करता था, इंपोर्ट एक्सपोर्ट का काम करता था और जब उसके कनेक्शन पाकिस्तान से हुए तो ये साफ नज़र आया कि वो लगातार जो पाकिस्तान की तरफ भारत की सुरक्षा व्यवस्था को लेकर जानकारियाँ हैं वो पहुँचाता था। उसके साथ साथ भारत में जितने भी ऐसे जासूस हैं उनको पैसे पहुंचाता था, सिम कार्ड पहुंचाता था। उसके साथ साथ कई ऐसी चीज़ें मुहैया कराया जाता था। उसके द्वारा जो भी चीज़ें पाकिस्तानी एजेंट को दिए जाते थे उसकी सारी डिटेलिंग यूपीएटीएस को दे दी गई है। साथ ही साथ ये साफ कहा गया है यूपीएटीएस की तरफ से कि ऐसे जितने भी कनेक्टेड शहजाद के साथ जितने भी जासूस हिंदुस्तान में मौजूद हैं उनको पकड़ने की कोशिश की जा रही है, क्योंकि शहजाद के जरिए कई ऐसे लोग हैं जिनको पकड़ने की कोशिश करने के साथ साथ उनको ये भी बताया जा रहा है कि आखिर किस तरीके से ये लोग किस किस इलाके में हैं और किस तरीके से हिंदुस्तान की जो सुरक्षा व्यवस्था है उसके बारे में ये चीज़ें वहां तक पहुंचाते थे।
Absolutely. Varsha, stay on with us. We have some more breaking news coming in at this point of time where BSF troops have seized a Pakistani DJI Mavic 3 classic drone in Ratan Khurd village of Amritsar district. The drone was recovered in a broken condition. It is presumed to have fallen due to technical interferences of electronic countermeasures deployed on the border. Keep, in fact, keen observation and the diligent efforts of BSF troops have thwarted yet another illicit drone intrusion from across the border. Visuals there right on your screens showing, of course, this drone that has now been thwarted, it has been intercepted. My colleague Vipin is with us to give us more on this. Vipin, what more can you tell us?
Well, of course, good morning. BSF, the drone, DJI Mavic 3 classic drone in broken condition from a farming village adjacent to Ratan Khurd village of district Amritsar. Well, as far as the BSF is concerned, they clearly stated that the drone is presumed to have fallen down due to technical interference of electronic countermeasure deployed on board. This is not the first incident which have been reported at the bordering villages of Punjab. Well, earlier also, 85 kg heroin and, ammunition was recovered from a broken drone which was found there in the fields of a bordering village. So definitely the alertness is there. BSF is on a high alert after, India-Pak tension. Everything, every suspect, every suspicious activity is being monitored by BSF border security forces, and they are closely monitoring any sort of suspect or any suspicious activity at the borders.
All right, Vipin, thank you so much for joining us and sharing all those details. We're going to shift on to some more breaking news coming in, where as the Pakistani spy nexus continues widening with more arrests being made, Haryana DGP Shatrujit Kapoor has emphasized that agencies are working round the clock to ensure that those arrested receive maximum punishment. Take a listen.
ये सारा जो हमारा ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के बाद जो चौकसी बढ़ी और उसके तहत कुछ लोग जो इंफॉर्मेशन हमारी केंद्रीय एजेंसियों से और हमारी स्टेट की जो इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसी है उनके माध्यम से जो मिली उस पर काम करके कुछ ऐसे डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स हैं जहाँ पे जो एंटी नेशनल एलिमेंट्स उनको पकड़ा गया और उनके खिलाफ मुकदमे दर्ज किए गए हैं। आपको पता है कि उनके खिलाफ एक्शन जो अरेस्ट करके उनको जेल भेजा गया है। तो इसी कड़ी में जो इस पे एविडेंस हमें और इकट्ठा करना है, केस स्पेसिफिक है, वो इकट्ठा करके इनको समय पर इनका चालान जमा किया जाएगा कोर्ट में और इनको प्रयास किया जाएगा कि इनको ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा सज़ा मिले। और जो हमारी इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसियां हैं वो मुस्तैदी से काम कर रही हैं और उनके साथ लोकल पुलिस उनका पूरा समन्वय है और साथ मिलकर के कोऑर्डिनेशन करके इसमें पूरा कठोर से कठोर कदम उठा करके इनको इन पर अंकुश लगाया जाएगा। एक ऑनगोइंग चीज़ है और हमेशा से जो हमारी एजेंसीज हैं वो काम करती रहती हैं। काउंटर इंटेलिजेंस विंग्स हैं जो अपना काम करते हैं और जहाँ कहीं भी कोई एविडेंस आता है एंटी नेशनल एक्टिविटी का, उसको पूरी मेहनत करके उस पर काम किया जाता है और उसको उजागर करने का काम किया जाता है और जहाँ भी आवश्यकता पड़ती है उस पर क्रिमिनल FIR दर्ज करके गिरफ्तारियाँ की जाती हैं।
All right, more breaking news coming in where the Lashkar-e-Toiba's Nepal module commander Razullah Nazmani alias Abu Salia has been shot dead by unknown gunmen in Badin, Pakistan. He was responsible for terror attacks on a CRPF camp in 2001, the Indian Science Congress in Bengaluru in 2005 and the RSS headquarters in 2006. My colleague Ajit Jandyal is with us on the broadcast to give us more on this. Ajay, this man has a very comprehensive rap sheet and has blood all over him. So, of course, now we're getting to know that he's been shot dead. What more can you tell us?
Yes, a person who was involved in multiple terror attacks and incident in Jammu and Kashmir. He had been, neutralized there by a gunmen in Pakistan. Definitely, it's a good thing for India, but who is doing it? That basically creating trouble for the Pakistan and making them tense that who are the people, because in last 2 days, two back-to-back incident has taken place in which, these terrorists, those who are basically living in their heaven, which is Pakistan, they are being shot by unknown gunmen and they are killed over there. So this is what exactly is happening, because 2 days back Saifullah was killed and today now it's another terrorist who has been shot dead by the unknown gunman over there.
Ajit, thank you so much for joining us and sharing all those details. We're going to leave it there and shift our focus to some more breaking news coming in where the Indian embassy in Portugal gave a befitting reply to desperate provocations made by Pakistani nationals organizing a protest outside its premises. Pakistani nationals gathered outside the embassy building holding placards with Asim Munir's face. The Embassy of India in Portugal responded by showcasing Operation Sindoor banners, and you can of course see those right over there. In a post on X, the embassy has emphasized that India will not be intimidated by such desperate provocations and that our resolve remains unshaken. Big developments there coming in at this point of time. My colleague Pia is with us on the broadcast. Pia, again, we can see those posters. What more can you tell us at this point of time?
Right, Asavri, the posters there, they speak for themselves. You can clearly see Pakistanis trying to provocate the embassy officials. They're carrying with them a photograph of Asim Munir. Of course, he's the one who's actually pulling the strings in Pakistan and not Shehbaz Sharif, as we all know. But what's interesting is the photo right in the center of our screens. Of course, the Indian embassy in Portugal, our officials over there have given a befitting reply. An Operation Sindoor banner is hanging, and what's written is rather crucial. They've written that it is not over yet. So this is, of course, a very interesting reply. They've also, in fact, stated that India will not, in fact, be intimidated by desperate provocations. Our resolve remains unshaken. And, Asavri, we all remember what transpired in London. Just a week ago, we know how when Indian protesters had peacefully gathered outside the Pakistani High Commission in London, what exactly their official had done, the obscene gesture he had made to slit the throats of innocent protesters who were protesting rather peacefully and civilly, which is in stark contrast to how Pakistani protesters behaved. We all remember back in 2019 as well, Pakistani protesters had vandalized the Indian High Commission in London. So, of course, a stark contrast in terms of how exactly our officials managed to respond to these protesters who tried to provoke them in a very professional and civilized manner, unlike the Pakistanis.
Indeed, Pia, and the answer to those people who are protesting is that Operation Sindoor is not over yet. Thank you so much for joining us, sharing all those details. We're going to leave it there and shift our focus to some more breaking news coming in, where National Security Advisor Ajit Doval has held a telephonic conversation with Ali Akbar Ahmadine, the Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council of Iran. NSA Doval expressed India's interest in expanding bilateral cooperation in the development of Chabahar Port and the international north-south transport corridor. Meanwhile, Iranian representatives stressed that Iran and India, as two ancient civilizations, shared deep-rooted ties and vast potential for political and economic collaboration. He also emphasized the need to swiftly implement strategic projects and reiterated that bilateral cooperation serves the broader interest of regional peace and stability. Brian on the telecast with me. Brian, take our viewers through the details of this meeting, please.
Really, Sabri, very rightly you mentioned that yes, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval clearly held a conversation with Ali Akbar Ahmadine, who is the Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council and also rather the representative of the Supreme Leader. Now, during which they also acknowledged Iran's constructive role in the region of peace in the region, and also reiterated India's keenness to deepen the very bilateral ties, especially in the development of Chabahar Port and the international north-south transport corridor. Now, very importantly, there was an Iranian readout also that said that Doval also conveyed India's gratitude for Iran's continued support, and the statement also quoted Ahmadine as highlighting the historic and civilizational bond between both Iran and India, emphasizing the vast scope also for both political and economic cooperation, also called for the swift implementation of strategic projects, and also stressed that closer bilateral ties would contribute to regional peace and stability. Very importantly, Asavri, also the conversation took place against the background of the tensions that have been going on, and it comes also a day after Shehbaz Sharif also spoke with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian also about the recent standoff also. But clearly, the bilateral has been strong, where even clearly there was a readout also, that said that it has been highlighted, and it also rather highlights the historic and civilizational bond between both India and Iran itself, Asavri. Yes.
All right, absolutely. Brian, stay on with us. We have more breaking news coming in at this point of time, where Pakistan's Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar will embark on a 3-day official visit to China today. According to a Pakistani readout, he will be accompanied by a high-level delegation during the visit, which is aimed at strengthening strategic ties and exchanging views on regional peace and security. Ishaq Dar will hold talks with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi. These talks will include a comprehensive review of all aspects of Pakistan-China bilateral relations, with particular focus on economic cooperation, defense collaboration and regional security environment. Brian continues to be with us. Brian, what more can you tell us about this meeting that is slated to take place?
Well, clearly, Sabri, Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar will be taking a 3-day official visit to China. Rightly mentioned from today itself till 21st rather, and he will be accompanied by a high-level delegation. This visit will also be coming in the wake of this standoff between both India and Pakistan, and during his visit also, Dar is scheduled to meet Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi for detailed discussions on the bilateral relations, regional stability, mutual strategic concerns, and his official also said that the agenda also includes a comprehensive review of all aspects of the Pakistan-China partnership, with also particular emphasis on economic cooperation, defense collaboration, and evolving security dynamics in the region. It was also mentioned in Pakistan's X handle of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that the two leaders had also had a telephonic conversation as they reaffirmed their country's commitment to maintaining close coordination amidst the rising tension in South Asia also. And Wang Yi also reiterated China's unwavering support, describing Beijing as Pakistan's all-weather strategic cooperative partner and iron-seared friend itself. And they are also expected to stress the need for the sustained dialogue and continued communication in the recent conflict that has been happening itself.
All right, absolutely. Brian, thank you so much for joining us, sharing all those details. We're going to leave it there and shift our focus to some more news coming in, where the Indian government has imposed port restrictions on the import of certain goods such as ready-made garments and processed food items from Bangladesh. This is in response to similar curbs placed by Dhaka on certain Indian products last month. According to a notification of the Director General of Foreign Trade. These port restrictions will not apply to Bangladeshi goods transiting through India, but destined for Nepal and Bhutan. The order said that ready-made garments imports from Bangladesh will not be allowed via land. However, it is allowed only through Nhava Sheva and Kolkata seaports. The notification also says that these port restrictions do not apply to the import of fish, LPG, edible oil and crushed stones from Bangladesh. Take a listen to what former Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh, Ambassador Veena Sikri, has to say.
Well, under Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, for the last 15 years, India has granted full access to Bangladesh commodities in India. It's completely free market access, except for items like tobacco and alcohol, things like that. It was completely free market access, despite the fact that we don't have a bilateral FTA or anything, but still we have given always this full and free market access. But we have seen that in the last 8 months since Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina was forced to leave Dhaka, and the regime, interim regime, which is not even a legitimate regime, it's just an interim regime led by Chief Advisor Mohammed Yunus. They have arbitrarily been restricting movement of goods between India and Bangladesh. For example, they wanted to show that they are not dependent on India, so they were trying to get imports of goods, even cotton yarn, all the items that go into their ready-made garment sector, which is their major export sector, and all the items where India had a predominant place of supply. So they were trying to get imports of these goods from other countries like Pakistan, Turkey, even USA, even China. But everywhere they found that the transport costs were very high, and even the cost of these products in those countries is very high. So to reduce the advantage for India, they decided to restrict import of these goods from land ports and said it can only come by sea and so on and so forth. So they were doing this to make it more even-handed for the other countries. Well, India was patient for a little while, but when we saw that Bangladesh is doing this deliberately in a move aimed at harming the bilateral trade between India and Bangladesh, India has now taken reciprocal measures. And so items like their ready-made garment exports, which is a very big item of exports, like $700 million, between coming from Bangladesh to India every year. And this was, one must remember that the freedom that India had given to Bangladesh.
And we already have a trade deficit with them.
Yes, to make up the trade deficit. So we said to make up the trade deficit, and they were always very worried about the trade deficit. So to make up the huge trade deficit, we said that we will allow you, free imports, no duties, and also from all ports, land ports, every port. So now that Bangladesh is not interested, it seems, in allowing goods from India into Bangladesh, we have also taken these reciprocal measures. Of course, it will harm their exports to India, and I think it's difficult at this time for Bangladesh to find other markets because the world situation, the market demand is fairly low at this time. So I think that Bangladesh should think seriously about what they want, whether they want good bilateral relations with India, they want free trade with India, they want to increase their exports to India. Bangladesh.
All right, more breaking news coming in from the international arena, where former US President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with prostate cancer. His diagnosis follows recent medical checks that revealed a worrying development. The Biden family is reviewing treatment options with physicians. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has stated that he is saddened to hear about Joe Biden's recent medical diagnosis. Trump has wished Biden a speedy and successful recovery. Arzu on the telecast with me. Arzu, what more can you tell us?
A wave of concern after the update that has come of the health update of Joe Biden, and also the office of the former United States President Joe Biden announced that he has been diagnosed with the aggressive prostate cancer. The big announcement on Biden's health came after the 82-year-old was examined last week after he experienced increasing urinary symptoms, and also the cancer cell have spread to his bones, and Biden and his family are reviewing the treatment options with doctors, and
even according to the Joe Biden office, the cancer appears to be hormone sensitive. While this represents a more aggressive form of the disease, the cancer appears to be hormone sensitive, which allows for effective management. Also, prostate cancer is usually survivable if detected early. However, it is still the second leading cause of cancer death in men in the United States. So this is very concerning, and also according to the American Cancer Society, about 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with it during their lifetime in the US. So the prostate is a part of the male reproductive system and is located inside the body, and it is, its most important function in the reproduction of the fluid that, together with the sperm cell from the prostata and fluid from other glands. So yes, the prostate is located directly below the bladder and also above the muscle of the pelvic floor. And according to the Biden's office, his cancer cell have spread to the bones, and which make it more serious than the localized or early stage prostate cancer. So there has been a message from across the world, the concern from across the world about the health of Joe Biden, because now it has reached to the bones, and which make it very serious.
Absolutely, Arzu. Thank you so much for joining us, sharing all those details with us. We're going to leave it there and shift our focus to some more breaking news coming in, where Ukrainian President Zelensky has met US Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio on the sidelines of Pope Leo's inaugural Mass. The leaders discussed the negotiations that took place in Istanbul earlier. Zelensky has stated that Ukraine is ready to be engaged in real diplomacy and underscored the importance of a full and unconditional ceasefire as soon as possible. My colleague Pia Maan joins us in the broadcast to give us a better understanding about this. Pia, what more can you tell us?
Indeed, Asavri, it's very crucial to understand the backdrop in which this is happening. You've, of course, referred to the fact that Istanbul and the negotiations that took place cropped up. Basically, what was supposed to happen was that both Putin and Zelensky were supposed to fly down to Istanbul and negotiate face-to-face, but that did not materialize, and only a hostage prisoner exchange ended up taking place. So nothing major had occurred. Meanwhile, Trump yesterday stated and revealed that he will be holding telephonic conversations with Putin and Zelensky separately today. So we will be keeping our eyes peeled for that. But yesterday, on the sidelines of Pope Leo XIV's inaugural Mass, J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio had both met Zelensky. Now, Zelensky has in fact stated that Ukraine is ready to engage with Russia, and he's also stated that he's ready for a full and unconditional ceasefire, but there is a condition. Zelensky has called for sanctions against Russia. Now, Russia, of course, has in fact contended this. They've stated that they'll not come to the table if sanctions are being considered, more sanctions are being considered. So, of course, crucial developments to also look forward to what exactly will transpire in the Trump-Putin conversation and the Trump-Zelensky conversation remains to be seen. But this is what has happened till now.
Right, absolutely. Pia, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast, sharing all those details with us. On that note, we slip into a very short break. Thanks for watching.